When muskie fishing, the figure eight is something that every angler has to know. It's very important because many of your hits will come both sides on the figure eight. The muskies will follow it up. You start doing the figure eight and they'll hit it. Now you can also do a figure O. It doesn't really matter as long as they follow it. But let me show you what the figure eight, well, let's put it this way. Let me show you what to do and what not to do, okay? First of all, what not to do is, and I've seen a lot of guys do this, as they're bringing in the lure, they put the rod down, but they only use one hand. If you look over here, they just have one hand on it. And I can tell you, unless you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger maybe, that fish could rip that rod right out of your hand. So when you're doing the figure eight, when you get it in, like right about up to here, always have two hands, one on the handle, one on the rod, and do that. Now, the figure eight, of course, is a big eight. Like I said before, you could go in a zero. Now, some guys will hold the rod like this. Wait a minute. Are you looking over here? No, look over here. Some guys will hold the rod like this, okay, with one hand by the reel area, the other one on the butt of the rod. Some guys will do this, especially when they're shoving it down deep in the water. Now, this is a long rod. If you have a shorter rod, you might have to bend over more. You got to put the rod down in the water further. But remember this, when you're doing the figure eight, the bigger the fish, the bigger the eight, because that fish needs room to turn. So you stick it way out, way in. Oh, I hooked the bottom. Way out, way in, way out. And that's especially for bigger fish. So when do you start your figure eight? Right at both sides. Let's say we're reeling it in and we see that fish following right now. We go down and then start that figure eight. I got two hands, one hand on the reel and holding it, the other hand on the butt of the rod and making a big eight. And when the fish hits, all you have to do is, of course, pull up and hopefully the fish stays on. And the figure O, you can do that as well. When you bring it in, you just start going in a big circle. And like I said, again, the bigger the fish, the bigger the circle. You got to give room for that fish to turn, especially the larger ones. So just remember that. Figure eights are very important because I'd say, I don't know, 30, 40, 50% of your fish will probably come on a figure eight.